Welcome to the Doctors Are In. We are here. Technical issues. Look, we ain't gonna worry about it. But anyway, the bottom line is we're here and we're so glad to be because I think our discussion is unfolding every week as we pull back the layers of colonialism and the strength behind colonialism and how that has seeped into what has formulated our faith. We've been talking about a lot of different things regarding, again, the divine feminine and the divine masculine, and just looking at, there might be some stank in the room when we start talking about patriarchal images of God and the like. And I guess one of the problems is that when we read the English Bible, it just gives God all these male pronouns. But somebody put that in there, and we just take those inputs as inspired. Oh no, that's just pronouns that are put there. But the Bible tells us that God's a spirit. And this spirit that we serve, this spirit that we love, has masculine and feminine energy. And it just seems that we live in a world to where we have leaned more toward one side than the other. And thereby we've had a skewed view, a patriarchal view of the God of the heavens. And, when you've grown up in that, you've been conditioned in that, it's kind of hard to get that him out of your language when God is neither he or she. But wouldn't it be interesting if we would change all those pronouns and put she there? Would that be more closer to the cosmos? I think there might be something that could be argued about that. Especially, we need to pay attention to language. The certain tenses are feminine. In fact, in the Aramaic language, when it refers to our Father, it's a feminine rendering. And in one of the scholars, Neil Douglas Klotz, states this, that because it's a feminine energy or feminine rendering, that instead of saying our Father, we're saying, he says, oh birther. Now you and I know man can't birth nothing. We weren't given that kind of capacity to bring forth, anything out of you find a man with a womb, it's probably a clone or something that made up in a laboratory.
Have mercy.
The idea of our Father as a birther, our source, our creator as a birther, kind of goes in sync with everything we see in creation. That everything in creation, no matter what species it is, came out of a womb. Came out of a female reproductive organ. Yet, we are struggling with this patriarchal image of God being a male. And yet God's not a man. Neither is a woman. But the language itself would help us to better understand what God is like. So without, going further and getting into what we're going to talk about tonight, I just want to put that out there. Oh, birther, our God has a womb. I'll leave it right there. Dr. Brown, would you like to add any comments?
How can I add any comments to all you said? Let's get on with the projection of the P word, patriarch.
Oh no.
There's two P's that operate on the other dynamics.
Oh, No.
I don't go there. I said the patriarch, and you are very correct about the language and the words, the terms. So I'm going with the flow on the fact of what is going on, because you can't even say the word without breath. You can't come into this existence without breath. And when you talk about the patriarch, all you're talking about is the ego of the male species. And you know what ego is. You ease God out. Replace God with your male identity.
You replace God. Did you hear what he said, Bishop? You replace God with your male identity. Now he started already. Could you elaborate on that further?
No, I ain't going no further. No, yeah. Well, in our discussions, I feel like we have God in a box. You got to get God out of the box.
We
And
definitely
the
have boxes on.
only way you get God out of the box, you and I got to get out of the box. Anything you put out there that shows limit puts God in a box.
Okay.
That's me.
Wow. Anything you put out there that shows limit puts God in a box. And so we
say it again, Dr. Brown. Say it again.
This is, I got a funny feeling this was my night. We use words and terms that have limitations. And anything that has a limitation eliminates God. But we place our thoughts, our concepts, they all have limits. Get outside of that. Become free in the whole essence of your beingness.
Get outside of that. Become free in the whole essence of your beingness. Okay. Anything that has limits puts God in a box.
In a box.
So we were given, so our Christianity, if you want to call it that, was given to us like a Kellogg cornflake box. Here it is, poured into a bowl, add some milk, and then that's what it is. God's in that box, and yet he's not. See, there it is. I see that pronoun just slip right back out there. He's not. It's kind of hard to get those pronouns out of you.
Every detailed description you gave was also a very boxing in. You put it in a bowl. You take a milk. They all have limits, and you won't eat it until you've done all of those other things.
We won't eat it till you've done all those other things. In fact, if it doesn't have all those other things to it, we kind of reject it. It's not. And so that's what we've done. We've got God as Boxcar Willie, and
we've enterprised God. We've enterprised our religion. I challenged some colleagues of mine, and they got frustrated with me because I said, have you all ever thought about when was there a first attempt to organize a Black preachers union?
Okay.
That's been a period of time way back. Unionize the preachers and unionize the church and make it a strong economic initiative. That was a long time ago.
Wow. Unionize the preachers and unionize the church. That's interesting. That is definitely some sort of a capitalistic viewpoint on making money off of the parishioners.
That's what a certain element of Christianity called Catholicism is. It's a union.
Wow. Okay. It's a big, strong union at that. It's strong. Okay.
It's stronger than the UW. It's stronger than the ones we got. We can name a bunch of them, But you name me another union that has its own state. Don't get me started. Has its own bank.
And it's the richest religious institution that's on the planet.
Why would you just call it religious? It's the richest economic institutional system on the planet, or one of them, I should say.
One of them. Okay. All right. Bishop Hyman.
And it's all done by patriarchs.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's right. Anything you want to add to our opening thoughts?
I don't know what the opening thought is now.
Well, yeah, Dr. Brown really, he took the limits off of God and said that anything that, I mean, that was a classic statement. Anything that that has a limitation puts God in a box. You know, that's
Okay. What would you like me to do?
well, I think in the the question that you put out there, in that question about about this being pathological to envision God as a male, does that lean toward a pathology? And if so, any pathology is problematic. Any pathology causes some sort of a plight within the human psyche or the human biology. So we've got a plight going on in the human psyche, in our conception, in our visualization of God. So
Okay. There was a whole lot. Which part you want me to jump in on?
jump in, get in where you can fit in.
Are we? I mean, y'all just kind of came out the box. I don't know where you want me to jump on that, so you're gonna have to give me a hitch that ain't got 9 hooks on it. Just one at a time. I could jump on any of this. Okay. So where do you want me to jump in? I mean, y'all done said a whole lot.
What about limiting language?
What about it?
In reference to God? What are some examples of limiting language that we have that has us to see God other than the way I lost my thought.
Clearly. You all right over there?
I'm all right.
You sure? He look all right to you, Dr. Brown?
Well, he looks all right, but he lost. I'll put it this way: he lost his limitations.
Somebody got jokes tonight. Yeah, it's your night.
It's your night, Dr. Brown. Dr. Brown
It's
got
your
jokes,
night.
y'all. Elaborate jokes. Okay?
He was in a state of consciousness that had no limits, and he said, "I lost." You really never lose. This may have been a beginning of finding the expansion of your consciousness.
Okay.
My sister is a psychologist. I'm pushing her.
No, you're not. One thing your sister ain't is a fool. This here stuff here, much of it does not come from psychology, Dr. Brown. Much of it does not. I didn't get most of this out of a psychology book or a psychology class. This is the merging, if you will. Or sometimes you'll say it's that our sister brings that feminine. Some of it's just the divine feminine, sir. It's not a psychologist. Uh, but it is kind of the merging, if you will, of the scientific and the sacred, the psychological and the prophetic. And then, uh, they say I'm a theologian. I guess that's what they call you when you've been to the place. I don't know. It's probably a merging of all of it, and sitting that in that feminine energy. But all of this is not psychology. Trust me when I tell you, this stuff ain't in the books. This stuff ain't in the books, Dr. Brown. It ain't in the books. And a lot of what we are pulling from, in terms of, that you talk about these expanded states of consciousness, a lot of what you're pulling from, we are pulling from collectively, ain't in a book. It just ain't in a
Ain't in
book.
the book.
It doesn't mean that we have not read books and mastered books, but it's an amalgamation of all of it. Um, and it is going beyond the limits of what we are taught and told. So I heard you reference the question, and it is our question for the evening. This is our raison d'etre for the evening. Is there something that contributes to the pathology of the specimen when God is a patriarchal God? Dr. Brown starts out talking to us about limited language, limited experience, limited knowledge, limited understanding, limited. The nature of Western culture is to limit the specimen,
Hmm.
limit the species, limit you in terms of your ability to reach, to think, to expand. While on the one hand, our education system prides itself in teaching critical thinking. While they are teaching you to think critically, they are killing your mechanism to be able to do so.
Hmm.
And so we are discouraged actually from thinking outside of a box. And if you can't think outside of a box, you will never know God outside of your thinking. You cannot. Your thought then becomes the prison, not the prism, the prison from which you operate your conception of God and your ethos, your worldview. All of that comes out of the prison of your thoughts. Um, then you raise the question again: Is there a problem? Does a patriarchal God, who we have been trained, conditioned, taught, indoctrinated, um, just kind of overwhelmed with religious propaganda? Um, is there a problem with that? Does that produce a problem in us, in our consciousness even? Does it restrict our consciousness? Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think one of the ways we want to begin to maybe look at this, and one of the things that you said on last week as we closed and even as we talked afterwards is, how do we really get this across? Because this, for many of us, is new wine.
Do wine.
Uh-huh. And we are dealing with old, uh, thin, rigid skins. What even does Jesus mean? He says, what I'm trying to give you far supersedes the traditional, rigid laws, concepts that you have. You're going to have to expand your consciousness, Jesus said, for me to even put this in you, because you operate off of the rigidity of something that is linear, that is concrete, that has no flexibility in it. Many of us are like that. Jean Piaget, if I can be a psychologist now for a moment, Dr. Brown, Jean Piaget um, developed this theory of cognitive development. And one of the stages, it's the stages of cognitive development. One of the stages of cognitive development that belongs to children is what we call concrete operations. You kind of start off with, psychomotor this, and you're doing everything by feeling, and then you're putting everything in your mouth. And this is the way babies begin to experience the world, and and so forth and so on. And then when they get, school age, they are in what we call concrete operations, kind of black or white thinking, either or, all or none thinking. uh, uh, we deal with object permanence and all of those things. Is that uh, a child, when they in that, they see the mama leave the room, they actually think the mama is gone because they don't have the cognition to know that the object is still permanent, even though it's not there. What I'm seeing in our patriarchal religions, particularly in Christianity, is that it lends itself to us functioning at the concrete level. That means that spiritually, and for some people, even psychologically, cognitively, we do not develop past elementary school thinking when it comes to our faith,
Wow.
because we
Wow.
do so on concrete operations. Anything that's concrete is hard, it's rigid, it has no adaptability, no fluidity. It's either or. In fact, the ethos or the worldview of Eurocentrism, of whiteness, of Eurocentrism, is black and white thinking, either or. Is heaven or hell? Is Jesus or no? If it ain't Jesus' way, it ain't no way, despite it was some way for 1,000,000 years before Jesus was ever born. So we get into these concrete operations cognitively. That becomes an old wineskin. So
Ah.
when you come with truth that is fluid, truth is not concrete. Truth is fluid. It is moving. Truth is not a statement of fact. Truth is a realm. Truth is a dimension. We think truth is what is told. Uh-uh. Truth is dimensional. That's why it keeps unfolding. So as you mature and you can handle abstractions, that's another stage of development. Then you understand it ain't either or. It ain't always black and white. There are many shades of gray in between. It ain't always heaven or hell. It's what's on earth that we don't deal with. Lord have mercy. And so even the concept that God is male or nothing is nothing but concrete operations. It's an old, traditional, worn out skin that does not lend itself to God being any other way than what I think, what I was told. Therefore, our ability to create and to imagine, and the intuition that Dr. Brown talks about all of the time, all of that is now limited. Even the prophets are able to go in and out of consciousness, in and out of realms, but only concretely. That's why they can't prophesy outside of white evangelicalism.
Oh no.
Even when God speaks, it's got to go back to the Bible. Even when God speaks, it's got to go back to our doctrine. Even when God speaks, it's got to fit the religious propaganda that we think is truth. We think truth is sentences. We think truth is text. We think that's all truth is. We don't understand that truth is God, and it is throughout the universe. It goes in realms. It is progressive. We progress in it. We process in it. It processes in us. If you don't know that because you're concrete, then our doctor's opening statement about anything that we limit here puts God in a concrete box.
Wow. That's very good,
Yeah, I don't
Dr.
like
Brown.
that face, Dr. Brown. That's your
Yeah. Well, you
mischievous
know,
face. That's your mischief.
She said she,
yeah, I know. She says she went
she
there,
said
didn't she?
she said she didn't deal with psychology.
But
No,
I
she
told you I
didn't.
was purposely going there.
Yeah, yeah, right. You did, but you made it very clear that a book does not does not reveal the information that comes from your psychic.
Okay, so a book is a limit.
A book is a limit. Okay, I'm going there.
Go.
Including the one that we put in our hands with 66 books in it. After gazillions of revisions, taking out, putting in, interpolation, adding to, script errors, copying errors, all of that, we think once it gets to us in English, and ain't nothing look like us had nothing to do with the translation, we think that's truth. Therefore, truth now is correlated positively with whiteness and white maleness, and God himself, who is the author of the book, now must also be correlated with patriarchy and white maleness. So now the question becomes, is this a problem?
Well, I think it is a problem, and we did this exercise.
It's not a problem.
Or it's a challenge.
There you go.
Okay, we dealt with this challenge.
Why can't be a problem? Let's go back.
I wanted her to bring it, and she did it. Because how do we define problems versus how do we define challenges? Challenges means that, okay, back to her initial question. Problems is something that we acknowledge as a barrier, that I have a problem. No, I do not have a problem. I see people calling for me a challenge to what they feel is a problem. Let's just take one that's going to really make folk listening, seeing, hearing, or whatever. What this president is doing is not a problem to me. It's one of the greatest challenges for my people to move forward. Because usually in problems, you stick with it, you stay with it, you carry it, you sleep it, you wake up with it. In challenges, you move forward.
Okay. All right. I can see that.
We recognize
it's
here.
a problem.
You're both right.
And I say the problem, and we all three could be right. Remember now, truth is multidimensional.
Multidimensional.
It ain't linear. I say it is a problem, and the problem presents a challenge to those who are crafted and called to solve it.
The problem presents a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow!
And when I say,
see, that's psychology. She's good. Go ahead.
Say, why he make everything psychology? Why that just can't be my doggone brain?
It's your psychic, which is your brain.
That's my brain.
And you put the ology on to make it a study for us.
Now, I don't know about all of that, Dr. Brown, but anyway, all right. That's one of the old mothers of the church say, I guess what you're saying is all right. When I say that it is a problem, this very rigid, concrete operations is problematic. Okay, that's better. I say it produces a problem. Now, a problem, define. A matter or situation regarded as unwelcome or harmful needing to be dealt with and overcome. How you intend to deal with it is the challenge. Okay? Now let's go psychology. A problem denoting or relating to people whose behavior causes difficulty to themselves and others. Lord Jesus, have mercy. So when I say it's a problem, assigning patriarchy to the maker of the universe, I have told you on a cognitive level how we call them schemas. And that's people, this is kind of universal. People's heads are kind of organized into categories of like things. When I say dog, everybody know what a dog is. It could be 1,000 kind of dogs. All of them belong to that schema. It's got a tail, got 4 legs, got this, got a bark. That's a schema. And so with these schemas, when we put God in this box or in this patriarchy, we have set up a schema here that is disconnected from everything else that has the feminine energy or nature in it. Again, they said we only use 10, 20% of our brain. The average person uses about 10 or 20% of the brain. I don't know if that is true or not, but that's kind of what's out there. Could it be, this is a problem, could it be that part of the reason that most human beings have all this brain, that the divine intellect of the universe has given us, that we only use it because of how we have limited our source, how we have limited God, and how we have dealt only with our religions and our thinking and our doctrines in concrete, childish, elementary school level operations. It becomes a problem when you've got to shut down all of your brain because it doesn't fit your doctrine.
Wow.
That's a problem. That's a problem, women. When God is a he, but yet you say we're made in the image and the likeness of God, but none of that image and likeness looks like you, talks like you, has your nature. So if we're made in the image and likeness of God, what the sickness does to women is make them either abuse their feminine energy because they never matured in it and don't think it's okay, they got to force it, or it makes them do this to other women and become oppressive to other women. It makes them misuse their divine masculinity because they think God is only male. So if God is only male and I'm a female, then what am I? I can't be like God. So I'm something else. So that puts us in the realm of something else. A woman is something else. And because she's something else, she needs to be governed. A woman is something else. And because she's something else, then she needs to be subjugated. A woman is something else. And because she's something else and not like God, then all of the males who are like God in God's image must dominate the female. The woman then is made for your pleasure. The woman is made for what's wrong with you. The woman is made for what you lack. They have to be everything you lack, then they got to get back. It ain't if you black get back, it's if you're feminine and get back. If you're part of that. So if you're in the image and likeness of God, but God don't look like that, then what are we? We're something else.
Yeah.
And so when you're something else and you don't know what your something else is, then you allow that which is dominant to define you.
Yeah. And that's true. You allow that which is dominant to define you. And so we have been dealing with an age-old duping, because you said something about we're made in the image and likeness of God, the scriptures, if we just, whatever you interpret, if you just take the scriptures, it says Genesis 1:23 or Genesis 2, where it says that he made them in the image. God is, they're made in the image and likeness of God. Male and female he created. And so that
Now,
means
but which one? Because now we got two.
yeah,
We have two creation stories in Genesis from two
Three.
different
we have
three.
three.
Okay,
Three.
okay. Well, that's debated, but okay. Some
Chapter
scholars say
5.
three. Some scholars say two. I
Mhm.
generally say three, but proven we know it's two. All right, so we'll say three. I'm good with that, gentlemen. And they're from different places, different times, different traditions. The
Ah,
language ain't the same. The story ain't the same. And so we weave that together as we stole that and then sold it to you that God wrote that through Moses. It's a lie.
God did
God
not
can
write
only
that to
write
Moses.
through men. Look at it. God can only speak. Listen at the scripture. God can only speak through holy men of God. And so we believe because it's text, it's
Mhm.
truth. And so we are discouraged violently to inquire of the divine mind what truth is.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so if I'm
yeah.
not in the image and likeness of God,
Nine.
because we gon' put the first part, the first story first, and give that precedence as though that's the first thing that happened. This is not a chronology. Genesis ain't even really the first book. That's where they put it. All right? Job is the
Oh,
oldest book, as far as we know.
say that
That's
one
where
more
they
again.
put it.
Say
And
that
then they
one
put
more
the
again.
second story behind that. And then the third story behind that. So that by the time you get to male and female, created he them, you have to preempt that by male he created first. And he called, let's go there. Let's go to the second or the third story. I don't know which one this is in. He called their name Adam.
There, plural. There.
Okay, and then we spell it and mess up the Hebrew of it so it reads like an Anglo-Saxon name of a white dude. All right, so it is the indoctrination and the miseducation of this canon that belongs to the empire that now continues to perpetuate this linear patriarchal view of God. But from the beginning to your text now, it was not so. And even in parts of your text, we proved it to you 2 weeks ago. It's not so. And so it becomes, to me, people, a problem that produces psychopathology in
Right.
both the male
Mhm.
and both the female. Because now the new term is toxic masculinity. And it is toxic masculinity that must dominate. It is toxic masculinity that feels entitled to everything a woman contributes. It's entitled, as we uncover the Epstein files. We're entitled to that. We're
Wow.
entitled to your tail.
Oh,
That
no.
belongs to us. That's why you say, I'm going to get that. You going to give me that. I'm going to smack that, smash that. All of this violent language even that is attributed to the sexual act in which the twain become one. We have even made that into male domination when he said the P word. If you think about it, we did this one night before, but this is just, if you think about it, all of the terminologies that are attributed to the female genitalia, you will see that the majority of them is some kind of name or relationship to an animal.
Wow.
If you look, oh yes, oh yeah. You just think about it. All of it got fur, baby. Okay? It is that. Now listen. Then as we look at the male, I taught this, we should teach this in my Psych 101 classes. Okay? And the children could take it. Grown folks can't even take it. We look at the male genitalia. If you look at what we refer to, or white folks, because whatever they call it, we call it. It's not our language. Whatever they call it, we call it. If you look at, I hope y'all ready. If you look at the male genitalia, the names that we call them are white Anglo-Saxon names. Dick, John, Willie, Peter, and the list goes on and on. Now, if you just say, I'm an African, I'm Mandingo, whatever, okay, all right. But for the most part, so now when you look at, you relegate the woman's genitalia to something that is animal, all right? Or something related to an animal. You call the male genitalia by white Anglo-Saxon names, all right? Some of them even in your Bible. Amen, Brother Peter. Amen. Hallelujah. Johnny. Amen. Okay. Then you call the sexual act something violent. I smack that. I tap that. You know what? I knock boots. All of the language for what should be a coming together, a collaboration, cooperation, not competition, completion. What should happen in that moment? Now we have ascribed to it violence. Now, how do you do this? You're saying this is a white male. How do you tame an animal? You do it with violence. You do it with control. You do it with force. You do it with fear. This is all in your sexual language because of the way that we see women, because of the way that we see God as all powerful. God took me over. God took control. God did this. God, we can't even say we cooperated with God in a moment where God is expressed and we see God solve a problem in communication or collaboration with us. We say, God used me. Oh, the Lord used that baby tonight. He used you. He used you like a dude get on top of you, use you, and he gone. We don't even see
Oh,
we don't see how this stuff is just undercurrent. It's just so deviously woven into everything that we just can't see it. And it's got to be that because that's what they told us. And so it makes the male sick. It produces a pathology in a male to produce godness when he got no God skills, no God power. It produces something in us because what are we? We ain't the I am because we ain't in the image and the likeness of God. And so we are ill-defined. Then if you're a black woman, you're completely ill-defined unless it is negative. This is why Dr. Theron Williams said to us, or at least said it in my presence, I can't remember if it was on the show or not, but every woman in the scripture from Genesis to maps got a bad rap. Even when we look at Deborah as a judge, as a prophet, as a leading politician and prophetic voice in Israel, then it gets to the end of her dossier of victories and her resume of successes and tells you who her husband was, like she can't be validated unless she got a man. And many of us feel like we are nothing, we're not validated without a man. That's why we'll marry almost anything, and the first thing we do is show you the ring as a trophy that some man wanted me, so I'm worthy. It is crazy. It is pathological on both sides because we ascribe toxic masculinity to divinity. And then we use
oh, wow.
divinity to exercise toxic masculinity and subject femininity to it. This is why you got all of this stuff in the Me Too movement, all of that. Now we starting to talk about how much we've been molested, how much we have been raped. Some of the men started to talk too, amen. How much we have been fondled, how much sexual harassment we dealt with, how much we have been blackballed, how much we worked and y'all got the salaries, and how now the stuff is starting to come out because it is a pathology that is all through. It is pervasive in the culture. And when the pathology is pervasive in the culture, the pathology becomes the norm. Well becomes abnormal. And the path to wellness is often persecuted, so that the enlightened are persecuted and violently come against by the ignorant. Those who are evolving are bashed by the people who are in concrete operations. In other words, the children are taking over and they are killing people who are psychologically and spiritually beginning to adult. For me, Dr. Brown, it's both a problem and a challenge.
You're watching the doctors are in.
Well put. Well put. It's interesting. Well put. Very well. And she did such a good job. It reminds me of some discussions and dialogues that I had and had the opportunity. Have you ever heard? I'm sure you have. Have you ever heard certain ministers who boast about their sermons, how they
I
slaughtered?
slayed them. I killed them.
Oh
I
yeah,
laid them
yeah,
out.
yeah.
I wore them out. Sir, you are what that is? That means I penis whipped them.
Oh wow.
That's what that means.
Then I asked my professors years ago why, and I'll mention him because I respect him, I had good professors of the history. Gardner Taylor was my instructor in Bible at Crozer. And he knew me, and he knew my dad. Him and my dad were very close. He said, "Now, Tommy," and he would be talking to all the other students, and he would say, "You haven't preached until you've gone to the cross, until you have described on the cross." I could not, and he and I would talk. I said, "Well, what's the beauty in talking about Jesus hanging on the cross, his and blood dripping off his head, and all of the violence? Is that supposed to make me happy?"
Yep. You're supposed to cry, stretch, and we don't know. Every time we keep doing that, we are traumatizing and wounding people. We're talking about an oppressed people. That violence,
And
treachery is still in their DNA, vibrating. And so you
well,
give this to an oppressed people.
that's what I was saying. It's not in my. It's not in my. In what I call my program. He said, "But that's what you." And then when I did have to speak to different groups, they would tell my dad, "He's a good speaker, but he's got to put some gravy." I said, "Dad, what the gravy he talk? You got to go to Jesus, and you got. Well, let's talk about Jesus's beauty, the things he did. Why do I have to go to the cross?" Now that's 40, 50 years ago. But my sister just explained, and you put this on oppressed people, and all you're doing is making it toxic.
Yep. And you're conditioning people that injustice, violence, treachery against the oppressed is God's will. That's how you keep us docile and not ever rebelling and revolting against 400 years of oppression. I want to deal with this here. Go ahead, y'all.
No, you go ahead.
The wound. I'm okay. All right, Emmanuel Thurgood. Are you saying the wound as in an injury, or are you saying the womb that carries a baby? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It says, but it was the wound I'm thinking a womb. I don't know. Of a woman that carries the glory. So don't that mean that a woman carries a different weight than man? I'm not sure what the glory is unless you're talking about a baby. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how to address that. I wanted to bring that. He sent it to me in the chat, but I can't do chat, run the thing, and do comments. I'm too old. I can't do that at 64. I can't. I can't do it no more. I'm past it. I can't do it no more. Um, so I just Thurgood, if you would just kind of clarify that, so that we can address that. Do you mean a wound as in an injury or the womb? And are you talking about carrying life? What do you mean by that? Because I want us to address it. And I told him, I said, put it up here, so that we can do this.
That's an
Okay.
old-fashioned code.
Okay. Um, all right. So a woman really carries a different weight than man because the glory came out of her womb. It must be a womb.
Yeah,
WOMB, not wound.
yeah,
Okay.
womb.
Okay, because I didn't know if we're talking about the woman, the thing bruising your heel and all that. I didn't know what. Okay. All right.
Womb. Yeah.
Okay. So that's what we're doing with this. All right. So this is why, let me do it this way. This is why in ancient times, um, and even among ancient Hebrews, the divine was seen as a feminine, because all creation comes, as Dr. Gardner started us off with, through the womb. The ant, the rat, the cat, the bat, it don't matter. Every species, it comes through the feminine. And so in many ancient cultures, many ancient African cultures, maybe called something else, but many of it. And there's a book out called, I think the book is called God is a Black Woman, or something like that. Don't shut it down. It's good stuff in it. But if you go back and you do some of the historical digging, you will see that cultures, we did this a few weeks ago, cultures across the globe. This was not just some African demonism. Cultures across the globe, any kind of melanated people, their concept of the divine was feminine. Some, the whole thing was feminine. Others, it was a balance in nature, a balance in the cosmos between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. Now, when you talk about physicality, we measure physicality and strength in a man because he's got more physical bulk. But physicality also means the ability to carry disease and be resilient. It also means the ability to carry intense pain, which a man don't have it because a man don't have the ability to labor. All right. So we don't look at the strength of a woman, to your point. We don't look at the strength of a woman being predominant in terms of how she is strengthened. Now, if we go back a little farther, all this soft curves and all of that, women of color didn't have all of that like that. That's a softening. And that softening came through looking at white bodies and how white bodies are
Oh, wow.
constructed. They not like us. This is proven for the most part. We have more density. We have more muscle mass. We develop motor skills earlier than their babies do. I mean, it just, so all of this has kind of been whitewashed. So, now we'll keep the butts. We love the butts. And keep the butt. And we'll keep that. But, we want women to be soft. We want the divine feminine to be soft because we have erased her strength. You look at the longevity of Black women to Black men, and it ain't all because they're getting shot, and it ain't all because they're getting in jail. It is, we tend to outlive them because some of it is attrition, but because of that X chromosome. We got 2 of them. The strength is in the X. The man has an XY. The female, the woman has an XX. The power is in the X. And so there are diseases that are carried on the Y chromosome. We don't have them because we have an X to cancel it out. And so to your question, in certain regards, a woman is carries the preeminence. In certain regards, the male carries the preeminence. And so when you bring the strength of the feminine and the strength of the masculine into oneness, it is an unstoppable force. It is a super abundant force. It is a creative force. It is a protective force. It is a truth bearing, wisdom bearing force. And when you eliminate the divine feminine, when you eliminate a matriarchal image of God, then you eliminate wisdom. It is a divine feminine. Here is why Proverbs, Ecclesiastes always refers to wisdom as sheep. Even y'all got the nerve to call the church sheep. Of course, the dude is Jesus, and then so he over top of it. Yeah. All right. The imagery is everywhere. But when you look in other places other than your New Testament, that they tell you that dispensation is over, God ain't doing that. Okay, well then just don't give us the book at all. Okay? That God ain't doing that. God is a different God because an event happened, a violent event, Dr. Brown, of an unjust man, and we're going to super spiritualize that, and we have to use the book of John to do it, which is an apologetic. Is apologetic. We have to use the book of John to do it because we ain't got nothing else. All right. But when you do that, you eliminate wisdom. I can tell in corporate when it's only men at the table, because what they produce is good, but it don't have the insight. It doesn't have the intuition to show what the roadblocks are. I can always tell. I say, wasn't a woman at the table. And if it was a woman at the table acted in her masculinity. All right. Okay. We can tell that. So when that's missing, wisdom is missing. Let me tell you why black people can't never get no justice. Number one, you've been Christianized so that every time you talk justice, now it's a whole group of people telling us that blackness is the new idolatry. It's a whole group of people telling us anything that we preach about race goes against Jesus Christ. It's a whole group of people who can't get past concrete operations and don't understand that this is to keep you docile, to erase our power, erase our struggle, erase our history, erase the God of our fathers, and erase the divine feminine. We can't get justice because justice is a feminine energy. So as long as we're doing this patriarchy, ain't no justice, because we're actually reproducing patriarchy by having a patriarchal God. So wisdom is a divine feminine. Justice is a divine feminine. Intuition, as Dr. Brown calls it, is a divine feminine. Prophecy flows on a feminine frequency. And so when you get, that's just a few, the nurturing, the protection, the abundance comes out of the womb of a woman, goes in as seed, comes out as a whole doggone person. Okay. And only one sex can do that. So I get it. In certain things, we have the preeminence. And other things, the male has the preeminence. When we eliminate a whole part of history all over the globe and a whole part of God, you can only use a minuscule part of your brain, whether you male or female. It produces stuckness, rigidity,
Stuck.
concrete operations. It's a problem. And the doctors are up for the challenge.
Woo, okay. Yeah, Genesis tells us that we made male, male and female, he created them. But yet, if that's the fullness of God, male, masculine, and feminine energy, if that's the fullness, the full expression of God, then
Y'all see
something
this
happened.
foolishness? Every night they turn me sideways.
It turn you, there you go.
Now I'm gone.
Okay, she'll be back.
And I'm the dever. Y'all see the dever?
The Dever.
The dever.
Okay.
Bam.
So just follow this image for a minute. So here, the fullness of God, this image, male and female.
I'm with you.
One, yin and yang. Not separated. One. Okay. And then yet the way we're taught God is that we just don't even pay attention to the woman anymore, because now we've got a story in the New Testament. We got a story there in Genesis that kind of puts the woman down, and so Eve is demonized, and so. But the rest of the Bible, even outside of Genesis, as we alluded to weeks ago, it does show God in a divine feminine expression, and so where do we get the balance? How do we? That's the challenge, Dr. Brown. The challenge is the balance. We see stuckness. We see that we have an adolescent view of God, because why? We're still on the playground.
Oh, this ain't even adolescent, honey. Concrete operations ain't for adolescents. It ain't even. We haven't even reached adolescence, because adolescents will begin to clap back. That's why they talk back. That's why they got more mouth than God. Adolescence becomes the second stage of narcissism. You see the narcissism in children. It's a healthy narcissism. In infants, everything is about the infant's body, the infant's everything. They demand everything. You see that narcissism surge again in adolescence. And then as we begin to grow in our adolescence, we begin to clap back, and the children begin to talk back, because now they got thoughts. And we never even get to that. We never even get to a clap back.
So where would you say, on a scale of religious concreteness, if we're not at the adolescent stage, where are we?
Grade school.
We're still in grade school. We're still out there on the playground playing during recess.
No, some of us are really working. But we're working to keep the empire the empire. But we don't know that, because we think this is truth. Because I've been taught it. It has to be truth. Because they said so. It has to be truth. I can't think outside of that, because it's that all or none concrete operations. If part of it ain't true, none of it's true. That's silly. That's silly. That's silly. It's a little truth in everything. The reason we believe lies is because it's enough truth in them with just enough perversion for you to believe it. This is why we believe our own excuses. It's some truth in it, but it ain't true. So I would say most of us never quite get out of those. Y'all can look it up. Look like Jean Paget. That's what it look like, Jean Paget. But it's Jean Piaget. Piaget. So you feel free to look it up. I ain't making this is this European stuff, but there's a little something to it. And so when we begin to look at those ages, Dr. Gardner, the concrete operations, the child begins to develop these concrete operations around age 7. They begin to think it's logical. Now remember, logic is a divine masculine, so they say. All right, they begin to think more logically, linearly, and concrete events. They can master certain things. Like classification. putting those schemas in classification. They start doing that from the age of 7 to 11. So now we put you a heretic classification. You come from an S-hole. Number 47, 45. Y'all come from S-holes. All right? Calling Africa an S-hole. That's a classification. All right? These doctors are heretics. They radical. She this. Women get classified more because remember now, we don't have no definition, so you have to allow the dominant power to define you. When you act any time out of that, then you're going to get classified. Black women have more tropes and more stereotypes than any woman on the globe. Those are concrete operations. They are classifications of human beings. They are stereotypes. Stereotypes go with classification. So when we talk about concrete operations, we're not even talking about 13 and 14-year-old thinking. We're talking about the thinking or the cognitive thinking ability of children ages 7 to 11. That's why when they start getting at 12, we call them terrible 12s, and 13, that brain is developing further so that they can now clap back. We don't even have clap back. It's what you tell us and nothing else. It's all or none, black or white, Eurocentric, concrete operations. And this is who is in our pulpits. This is who is representing us in Congress often. This is who has become our leaders. Concrete operations. And those who think outside of it, they done already told y'all, you go outside of it, we're going to put you on a cross, lynch you from a tree, same difference, or put a knee on your neck, or put a bullet in you. It's the violence, because it's all or none. And they are so concrete. Just watch them in debates. Watch how they do when they are challenged. They have tantrums. They can't answer the question, so they got to gaslight. And they got to attack you personally with these straw man arguments because they don't have the cognitive ability to answer an abstract question. This now has become the state of many Americans. Even in their genius, when they get to their religion, concrete. And this is why people who are thinking and evolving and becoming are leaving religion, particularly patriarchal religion, because it does not give them room to grow and expand and to think. It does not give them room to live by intuition and by spirit, which spirit is also feminine in Genesis. The spirit moving on the face of the deep is a divine feminine. We told you hovering is the imagery of a bird hovering over a nest. This is the spirit waiting for timing, touch, and temperature to bring something out of one realm of darkness into another realm of light. The spirit moved and the word spoke. That's the divine masculine. The spirit moved. That's the divine feminine. So what you got is masculine with no movement. You got word with no spirit. You got word with no wisdom. This has become problematic so that we can't even become fully functioning. We can't become fully, y'all talk about the Imago Dei. You can't become like Jesus, fully human and fully divine. You can't do it with a patriarchal linear system.
Wow. You know, one thing that we did, and we've done this at least 2 or 3 times over the last 5 years, and that is we challenged people to put into Google image of God. And every image of God that, I mean, you can do that now. You know, put it in the chat. Put in the image of God.
You mean in the Google?
Yeah, Google. Google.
Or whoever, yeah.
Or whoever, Safari, whichever you're searching in Firefox, put in the image of God. And tell me, who do you see?
See that? Yep. Y'all go ahead and do it. Just
Yeah.
put in, when you go to Google, just put in God. You don't got to put an image. Just put in God and then click the images button and then come back and tell us what you see. Y'all know the cross is the only way for salvation. Can't get to God without the cross. So all them people for 1,000,000 years, all them people went to hell before Jesus came. Because they could only get there through violence. No, it won't violent. Jesus said, I lay my life down. Go do exegesis of that. It wasn't talking about your body. He wasn't talking
Anybody
about your
got
body.
it? Any comments? Put it in the chat. What you see?
Let's see. We're waiting. See, they're so far behind. Like the
Yeah,
Scripture
it
of
takes a
Acts.
while for it to catch
I'm
up.
just getting to them, and I can't get to the comments and be talking at the same time. Sometimes I can, but I'm not as good at multitasking. I told y'all.
Okay, Mildred Drew Cruz said, "Old white man."
That's not me.
Okay, Mildred. Estelle Douglas said, "I see the oppressor, white male." Rachel Fuller, a white man. Uh, Karen Davis, they all white. Carol Sanders, all white men. I mean, yeah. So white man with a beard. Same thing with Jesus. You put in Jesus, what are you going to get? The same. You're going to get the same. You're going to get the same. No, classification with the same nomenclature, or that's not even the correct word. The same kind of image. It's going to be a white male. So even the entire internet system is rigged to think white, to
Well,
think.
but think about it. As I listen, I'm listening to listening to my sister. I'm learning. And I ask the question of myself: the language is the language. Even to prove a point, you use a language from somebody else's understanding of language. The language, and in the Western world, and unfortunately, maybe some. No, Brown is not unfortunate. When I travel, being in China, being in Russia, being in India, being in Africa, the language is so different. I'm in North Korea. No, correction. I'm in South Korea, but I took some folk to go to North Korea and almost got them killed. But in South Korea, your symbolisms and how you handle your hands and stuff. I thought, I was saying, I was waving, and one of my colleagues said, "Brown, put your hand down. You are insulting these South Koreans.
Oh
When
my.
you're waving, that's a battle. Put your hand down." Okay, man, put me. And the other dynamic was he showed me how to give a sign. Signs and symbols are so different in our culture, and the languages as I'm listening, these dynamics, and the real question of male and female.
Mm-hmm.
I'm listening there, and see, each man's got a little female in him. Each woman got a little male in her.
Absolutely.
And I have to deal with a very uncomfortable population of men who want to be women and women who want to be men. I'm not going to say any more about that, but there is that energy. How do we help? I use this term. How do I help their confused consciousness? Because a lot of us are working and walking around with a confused consciousness, and we try to get a word that I don't hear many people use. I try to help people be balanced. how to be balanced.
Well, the whole thing is about balance. That's why we're presenting this, and this is not new age, it's ancient. We're behind. And we're saying there is no balance when something is one-sided, when nothing else in the cosmos is that way. So it's always some troll on here, but look at this. So I'm gonna let you gentlemen address whoever this is.
Lady, you're not talking to me.
Look at the emphasis. Lady, not. Again, a negation. I'll let you gentlemen handle that.
Well, it's another expression. Let me just say my famous 4-letter words. It's an expression of fear.
Expression of fear. Yeah, expression of fear. Yeah, because I mean the
That's
bottom
nice.
line. Yeah, it's nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, you deal with it.
The bottom line is that why go to her? Why not come to us? And, so I mean that there is a problematic.
It's a fear. Lady, you're not talking to me. Sis, you're not talking to me.
Oh, that's not no sis. No.
No,
that's not sis at all. Lady.
Well, I can take the lady and say, when a person says, lady, you're not talking to me, still in their deep consciousness, sister girl, you ain't talking to me. But I'm just doing this to lady because I'm putting it out there. But deep within, you're not talking to me. You weren't. That is nothing but a manifestation of fear and an ego trying to stay in place.
There you go. Well said, Dr. Brown. Drop the mic.
Dr. Gardner, what say ye?
I did. I mean, the thing is that the first thing, the attack was directed toward the female. And there's 2 other individuals that's here on this show.
It's directed toward my bishop. I don't know what you're talking about. Lady, you ain't talking to me. Hey, I could have read that when I was 5 years old. That's talking to my bishop.
So, I mean, it is what it is. The bottom line is that, I agree with Dr. Brown. It's fear. It's a challenge to the ego. And it's an overt blindness as to the truth as a realm that's in nature.
God is still in the box. That's an idea of God placed in the box.
Yeah.
Lady, you talking, but my God doesn't pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, lady, whoever you're talking to, keep on doing it, but not to me.
Mm-hmm. And this is after we ignored comment after comment after comment of just look like a word salad, looks psychotic to me. But it's all this extra Jesus stuff. So I thought I would, okay. See?
I get it.
Look at that. See that right there. See, that's it, by which, that right there. Unnecessary, uncalled for. This is a forum of dialogue. This is not a place of name calling or anything like that. That's very disrespectful to the format of what this is all about. This has nothing to do with your ego, and you don't want me to go there because then Dr. Brown get on me about my militarism. But
you all got to know how.
Oh, it is warranted now because your sister has been attacked. So let me see what you got.
Well, I mean, y'all are silly. Yeah, you're gonna push me. But yeah, the bottom line is that this is a classic example of someone that's weak. It's a wimp because they don't have a clear view as to what
it might be. It might be. Let me throw you a curve because what you're entertaining here is stuff we did back in the 60s and the 70s in the movement. This is all obvious of what I call artificial intelligence in its process.
It could be artificial intelligence. It could be a bot. that did
But
that.
no, it can be a woman doing this. It can be a man doing this. It can be anything.
It could be anything doing it. And
Right.
you
And
know,
so,
every other week we get this same spirit.
right.
It might be the same person, different name. Every
What's
week,
sticks?
just just
What do we used to say?
just bombarding.
What sticks and stones can break my bones, but words are not going to hurt me. These are
That's bull.
words.
I'm sorry, that's bull.
I know you
Words
didn't
have
like
hurt
it.
us. That's why we here.
Well,
That's why we are.
they never hurt me.
Okay, you think they didn't?
Oh, I know they didn't.
Okay, all right, all right. I guess, lady, you ain't talking to me either. All right.
Let me see. My eyes ain't.
Well, the best way to resist the devil is to ignore him. And
Not
so
really.
we've already addressed, his narrow mindset. So, you know, um, and so let's move
But
on.
what I've attempted to do, and it's easy for you to move on, because you're not attacked. But what I have attempted to do is, after I've ignored pages and pages of it, let me go ahead and expose it. Once we expose it, now it's a witch, and all of this. So this underscores the venomous nature of hyper spiritual people. It underscores the venomous nature um, of those who hide their venom and their bitterness and their psychopathology in doctrine and religion. It underscores the violent nature against the divine feminine. It underscores it. We just drew it right out. And most of the time when attacks come, even on this, the attacks never come on y'all. Even when they take this and put it on other platforms and prove that this is not Christian. This is not a Christian show. Let's start right there. Say the
It's not a
doctors are
Christian
in,
show.
not the Christians are in. But usually it is the attack is on the female. Why? All I
Fear.
did was underscore what I get all the time.
Fear.
All right.
And guess what? It's the love of fear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. All right.
Somebody
So I
just said,
just
they say
wanted to
you do this in class too. The
uh-huh.
exercise.
So I just want to, I'm going back to I'll put up again, but we're looking at white males. Same thing in Chat GPT. Jesus is a white boy with perfect straight hair. Not one is a black image. uh, Go to Chat GPT and try to make a post about racism. It will not do it. Absolutely right. Certain things that you put in Chat GPT that tried to get you. Oh, we lost him. What
Yeah, he said
happened?
he had to go.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
That try to, yeah, because we're past our time. Certain things that you put in Chat GPT to try to actually unfold some of the truths about racism and things like that. It tries to take you another way. Then you have to keep putting prompts in it to de-whitenize it. And so it is everywhere. So just absolutely, Carol. That those are graven images that we worship. They're all in our Bibles. The pictures are everywhere, and these pictures are worth 1,000 words. They are again programming us and conditioning us and conditioning melanated people. And there are many cultures that make a Jesus in their own thing. When we do it, it's a demon. All right. But for the most part, all over the place, you will see these images. Okay. The sisters had a little problem with y'all, said y'all were being too nice. Y'all were being too nice. You should have been violent. Uh, um, Who Jesus have mercy. Um, and that's why I exposed it. It's always a method to my madness, y'all. To say, okay, All right. How does this play itself? Even how, and this goes back to this go back to slavery, and many times the inability of our men to protect our women. It just did something. It just, if they did, it almost killed them for protecting us. All of this craziness. We got so much in our history as an oppressed people that being hyper spiritual, Dr. Gardner, allows us to ignore it, to distance ourselves psychologically from it, not to feel it, not to dig. It's either or. So then we go into concreteness. There's no clapback. There's no whatever. And so I did that on purpose because that thing been, just been doing. And I've just ignored it because that spirit keep jumping on. And most of the time it's on YouTube, keeps jumping on with religious psychobabble. Maybe a troll, I don't know. With religious psychobabble to distract, to pull away from. And so some things you ignore, but some things if you ignore, they'll kill you. Some things you must address and annihilate. And so I just said, okay, boom, let's boom, let's put this piece here and then let the brothers handle it and let's see how much mouth they got. Then when y'all start talking, then it's like, Jesus, save us from those witches. Now y'all join the witches cove. So really, seriously, you need to think about this in these terms, and then we'll be done and we'll figure out what we're going to do next week. Oh, look at the ladies that, oh, look at the commentary. Look at the commentary. I mean, you don't know who that is behind the picture. The picture probably fake. Okay, we cannot intellectualize bigotry. Okay, perfect illustration. All right. Yeah, Ezra Brown, that's my brother. I want a face to face. We on let me loose, Lord. Y'all, oh jeez, Lord, they get violent. But Pastor, they get violent. If somebody laying hands. Who Jesus, y'all black coming out. But this is just simply to say, and I'm really out of juice here. Simply to say that as you women, this is to discourage you from taking your place. It is going to be met with Christian violence. Okay, and a lot of psychopathology is drawn to Christianity. There's a reason for that, and it is very violent. It is all or none. And then you get all these word salads and all of this. And so just be mindful to be authentic and to seek truth when you're in the strictures of religion. It is the unenlightened who persecute the enlightened. Many times the ignorant who seek to slay those who are on the path to truth. As Dr. Gardner started with this last week, patriarchy is wide road. Isn't that what you said?
It's a wide road.
Everybody's on the wide road. The wide road leads, Yeshua taught. If we just teach what he taught, we'd be all right without a white lens. The wide road often leads to destruction. So whatever everybody is doing, wide road, he's trying to teach you something. Then he says, straight is the gate, narrow is the way. When you looking for truth, that's narrow. Few there be that find it. Why? Because everybody on the Broadway wants to stampede and put the foot on the necks of those on the narrow way. There is a risk to seeking truth. There is a risk to being authentic. It is a risk to being fully human and fully divine, blended, the masculine, the feminine, within the individual, between us, in the way we relate to and come into alignment with the cosmos. It's a risk to being whole. It's a risk to being fully you. Dr. Gardner, what we going to do next week? Because I ain't got but 2% on my battery. and it's plug.
Yeah, I think that, well, we didn't even get to some of the things. And so, again, we talked about this before, that this thing is unfolding.
It
And,
is.
and so it's like yeast, and yeast rises. And so there's more things to uncover. I think it was good that you did put those comments up there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's good, and it gives a clear object lesson as to, as the divine feminine being attacked. I do agree with that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the other thing about the divine feminine that I really want to look at is that, and I said this in closing, and we were off the air last week, that
Mm-hmm.
the Sankofa bird is a feminine bird. And that in essence, um, African, that's leading us back to African spirituality. The divine feminine is that Sankofa feminine bird leading us back. So the pathway back to our African spirituality, I think, is contributed by our embracing the divine feminine, because we're going back to understanding things were in its original evolution. We've been giving what we have been dealing with the last 400 years since we've been here has not is not part of our evolution. It's been part of our demise. It's been part of that which has kept us on the plantation here. We might be off the plantation there, but we're on the plantation here, and the elements and the relics of the plantation are in this, what you talked about, concretized uh, object. I forgot the word you used there, but
Concrete operations.
concrete operations. And so that's the place
I
where we
got
need to break free
1%
from.
battery left, y'all. So what we're doing next week? I got 1% battery, and it's plugged in.
Um, let's deal with the looking at the Sankova bird as a divine feminine.
Okay,
Okay.
and what else?
And secondly, we're going to look at um, looking at ways that we can break free from these con- I can't even get the word right. Concrete object, because we got to get free here in our head, in our thoughts, in how we construct, in our theologies, before we can get free, before we can get our spirit free. You know, because again, even in the simple exercise, just go and replace every place where, whoops, there it is, it's gone. Well, you've been watching The Doctors Are In. Come back next week. We'll see you.
So, all right, y'all. My battery went dead. Sorry about that. I think I probably have lost uh, Dr. Gardner. He may have signed off. But anyway, my battery died. But I'm sure he said thank you for tuning in. It's been a good lesson. This thing is unfolding, and we thank those of you who are on this journey with us. Um, there's that. Yeah, I ran out of juice. He said, Godspeed, I'm out. But for those of you who remain on here, thank you again for being with us. So next week, we're going to look at this concept of Sankofa. That was the theme of our retreat this year. And so I guess we're still there. The Sankofa, the journey backwards, the journey home, the healing virtue. That many times the healing virtue is part of the divine feminine. All right. And so we're going to look at Sankofa, the Sankofa bird, its fullness, what it means, and how can we go back to our authenticity and our divine spirituality. Spirituality and religion are not the same. We need to be spiritual, not hyper religious. And we're going to talk about how our return back with the divine feminine, with the divine masculine imbalance, uh, can break us out of this concreteness and these concrete ideas. All right. And we're going to look again, just kind of breeze through how patriarchy um, has served us both in the positive and in the negative. All right. So that's it. I'm on my phone, y'all, and it's this big, and I can't even find the button to sign off. So I don't know if we still on or we still off. All right. But thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week on The Doctors Are In. We'll see you next Sunday, if the Lord says the same, on Unscripted Live. We've been talking about tests, trials, and tribulation. We don't know what the Lord is going to say. The journey keeps unfolding. You have been watching. The Doctors Are In. Stay on the journey. It will be met with opposition and fools and children in adult earth suits. But the road to authenticity and alignment with the cosmos, with those in your life, with your purpose, and with your divine source is worth it. You want to leave this earth a better place than you found it. And you want to leave it with some uh, problem solved and some things for the next generation.